This is going to be my notes and reflections on Chapter 15 of B.J. Penn's autobiography, Why I Fight. And Chapter 15 is entitled The Real Champ. At this point, we're in 2007, and B.J. Penn is back down in the lightweight division. He had started at lightweight, gone all the way up through bantam, up into heavyweight eventually, pretty much, and then back down to lightweight to fight Jens Pulver, who was one of the guys he originally was wanting to fight, someone that he had fought before and lost to for his first attempt at the World Championship for that belt. And he'd always wanted to fight Pulver since. And then at the finale of Tough Season 5, which BJ coached for that season and Pulver coached, the two of them fought and BJ won. And so now he's a contender for the lightweight belt. The current holder, and this is 2007 for that belt, is Sean Shirk. And so BJ's waiting to have a fight with Sean. But then drug testing at one of the bouts in California comes up with Shirk being hot for steroids, and the UFC basically strips him of his title of lightweight champ, and they put the belt up for up for grabs. And so the fighters that they set up to go for that belt is B.J. Penn and Joe Stevenson. Joe Stevenson was the Tough finalist, the guy who won from Tough Season 2. And the two of them pretty much have the same skill set, strong ground, anchored in the ground, but also strong standing, boxing especially. And so BJ fights Stevenson and ends up at one point having kind of a glancing elbow that makes a cut, a pretty deep cut right on the forehead, and Stevenson is gushing blood by the end of the first round into the second round, just gushing, and then in the second round, at one point, BJ is able to kind of catch him off guard, and then take him down and get his back and win by rear naked choke, submission by rear naked choke. And so BJ Penn is given the lightweight World Championship belt. And of course Sean Shirk is not really happy about this at all, because he feels that he was stripped of that belt under false pretense. He claims he never did steroids. He did some polygraph testing and this kind of thing that he passed, to claim that he never did the steroids that they said that he was doing. But when you look at his body and when you compare different fighters, you can see who's done steroids, and Sean Shirk is a steroid guy. Any case, he's going to get a chance to fight for his title back when BJ does win the lightweight championship. Right, in the ring, is with the interviews in the ring, he calls Sean Shirk out and says he's dead. Shirk is upset by this, and so it's really kind of a personal fight, because he feels like BJ is trash talking him, and he is. I mean, BJ is really, really against using the performance enhancing drugs, and this is largely what the chapter is about, is BJ kind of ranting about these guys who use the performance enhancing drugs, and you compare them. You know, if you look at guys like Anderson Silva, Nate Diaz, Nick Diaz, BJ himself. You know, you look at the bodies, look at these guys, and you can tell, these guys are natural, and then you can tell who does the steroids, and the steroids is cheating. It's giving you an edge, and so BJ is strongly against that, and he lets it be known, and he calls Shirk out for it in public, in the media, and eventually their fight comes. BJ is expecting Shirk to do a lot of wrestling because he's a wrestler, but he says before the fight that he's gonna box, and sure enough, as they go, Shirk tries to keep it on the feet. It's a bad move. BJ's got about a 2-inch advantage in reach over Shirk, and BJ is a pretty good boxer, and so even in the first round, by the end of the first round, Shirk has cuts under both of his eyes. His face is not looking very good, and BJ looks just fine, and BJ's connecting with a lot of his strikes, and Shirk is not. Going into the second round, Shirk kept it at that same level, and close to the end of the round, like with only like 10 seconds left, BJ was able to really catch a couple of really good hits. And also, the announcers were saying, and this wasn't mentioned in the chapter, but I don't know if it was purposely left out of the chapter, or if it just wasn't the case. But the announcers were saying that as they were watching the fight, that it seemed to them that Shirk was really favoring his right hand, as though there was something gimped up about it. Maybe he'd broken his hand and he wasn't punching with it as much. Any case, BJ is able to catch him off guard, give him a kind of a 1-2 that sends him like reeling back against the cage, and as he's slumping over, he gets a really like a flying knee in the face, and then BJ's just on top of him, beating him until the bell rings. And it was kind of you couldn't really tell whether the ref was stopping the fight because he thought the fight was done, or whether it was because the bell rang. Sean Shirk never even heard the bell. BJ did. He backed off, and then he looked back at Sean Shirk. He could tell that the guy was done, and he started making motions like he's done. And sure enough, the ref decided that was it. And so BJ had defended his lightweight world championship title, and against the guy who claimed that it was his. And so it is a very clean, and there's no question about who is the best lightweight world champion in the UFC in 2008, and that was BJ Penn. So there wasn't a lot of philosophical grist to move through in this chapter. It was just really just detailing the two fights, the Stevenson fight and the Shirk fight, and talking about how the guys that take steroids are cheating, and that's about it. So moving on to chapter 16, I think we got 2 chapters left.